Hi, I've got here the front corner of a car, so it's part of the fascia, and what I want to show you today is how to build a complex set of blends, which are very common actually when you're building the front of a car. It can occur also on the rear. Now we're going to create this feature here, which is a blend between the fender and the headlamp area of the car. The headlamp will be here somewhere, and then down here will be a big air intake. And what our problem is to create a transition surface between this light catcher surface and the body. So we're going to blend this light catcher surface into the body, into these two panels, and also we're going to bring this feature down here, which you can see is quite a hard feature there, and we're going to wash it out so that it disappears and forms a perfect transition into this boomerang blend. So all in all, pretty tough task. Well, let's get on with it and see how it's done. As you can see, we've got tangent break between these two surfaces here, and that means that we can't build a blend around here from the light catcher back to these two surfaces with curvature continuity at this point. So we're going to have to find a solution to that problem, and that's what I'm going to show you. It's one of the things that I'm going to show you in this video. So this is how I start then, by forming this surface here in front of the fender, and as you can see, I've introduced a bit of attitude into it. I've got a sharp bend just at this point here, whereas this is a lot softer. So all in all, it's sort of a complex blending situation, and let's have a look to see how we can model it. Okay, this is what we're going to create. So it's a blend that comes down here. This is going to be the air vent in the front of the car, and it's going to be constant in caudal width until it gets to here, and then it's going to flare out and wash out into this blend here. So it's quite a complicated setup, and what I've done is I've made two curves here and projected and trimmed these surfaces. So this is the front of the light catcher, and this is the main body work of the car. And then one little thing I can show you, if I just pick this projection curve here, I'm going to shift Z, let's bring that up. I'm going to move that out of tangency like so, and then when you're setting up a curve like this, to get that point tangent to this point, just come here with your mouse, hover around there, push down Control and push the right mouse button, and you'll see that that snaps into tangency. So there's a little useful bit of information for you there. Okay, let's get on with it. E, pick nothing, and F for save. And I'm going to shift R to untrim. This is on my keypad. There, untrim those surfaces, and let's pick curves on surface and get rid of them. Now we're ready to start. I'm going to just point out quickly that I've got construction points there, but I may have to delete those and put new ones in because they may not line up. So here we go then. So I want a nice even blend down there, and I want it to flare out here. So I'm going to use the Jupiter offset control, and I'm going to start with 8. Let's see how that works out. So I'm going to pick driver chain select and automatic and see what happens. Chain selected, so it's come all the way down here, and now I want to start flaring this out here, and I think I'm going to start from about well, first of all, I'm going to get my width. Or can I maybe just bring that down there? I hit it there, produce another. So I've anchored that width by bringing that down there. Now I've put another manipulator here, and I'm going to zoom in and pick it so that it turns light blue, and then I'm going to scale it to that point there, so it cuts through where that construction point is and hit recalc. Let's have a look. So by sliding that down there, it duplicated it, the manipulating it anchored that width for us there. Okay, we'd have to measure that width, and this is the shape of the blend that I want. So now I'm going to pick nothing, and I'm going to delete this locator here. So okay, I'm going to type in here radius equals 8, 7, and recalc, and that should have sorted out the problem for us. I'm just going to hit enter and hit recalc. Now we can delete the tube. Okay, and we're ready to build our transitional surfaces there. And the best way to do that is with using blend curves and using construction planes. There are shortcuts, but in my experience shortcuts take 3 times as long in the long run. I sound like a bit of an old timer, don't I? Here we go then. So just put your plane on there, and I'm going to scale it until it touches that point there. If you're not sure, go into F8 to get a better look. Okay, and we've got to move it, so pick move and bring it along there. So that is our get into the view like so, and move to there. So that is where our blend curve is going to go. First thing I do is shift X, which is pick object. That's it, planarized. Now it's always the same with blend curves, same procedure. Put on your hulls, make sure you've got all your points out. This is a degree 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's perfect. It's nicely evenly distributed CV wise, so I'm happy with that. So that's G2, just to be on the safe side, go G0, G1, G2, and then put the locator on this side and set it up to G0, and I'm going to be naughty and go straight to G2 there. So I'll leave you to do that one and put one in here at the beginning of this flare, so about there I would say. Okay, and then you want another one here, and finally you want one there. So I'm going to go off and do all those, and I'll come back. Now this is obviously a very difficult part of the transition to model to get the curvature alignment. So there are easy ways of doing it. I could have put a blend curve across here and then one across here to break into smaller surfaces, but I've chosen to go the hard way, so here we go. I'll show you how to do it. So obviously I've got a plane here, which is a geometry plane, and I've got a geometry plane there, and I've put my blend curves in and made sure that my CV hulls are evenly spaced. Now I'm going to take the square tool, turn on the controls, and have a look at what it's telling us. It's telling us that we have a minute gap there and a small gap there. So I've got 7 degrees in this direction, and I've got 5 in that direction because the blend curves are degree 5. If I go to degree 8, probably it's going to cure the problem, but degree 8 is not acceptable in class A, so we're going to have to find another solution. So I could kill the history and direct model these CVs to close the gap, or I could just take the align tool, partial, set it to curvature, and I'm going to do something first. I'm going to delete those locators. Now take the align tool, that's done. We'll build a surface here, and I'm going to build it to the square. I'm going to have a look at the settings here. You see I've got collinearity for here and here, and let's have a look at what our gaps are. And what I'm going to do is pick nothing, and if you can't see very clearly, you can move around like that till you can see, or you can just open the information window and see the information there. So I've got a gap, and it's quite a big gap, isn't it? Okay, let's see where the problem is, and you can see it's on this side and it's in the same place on the other side. So what that tells me is that the problem is in this area here, and probably the rest of this surface is fine. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do then is take the detach tool and detach that surface, because I know the problem is caused by this area here, and I'm going to detach it to about there, I think, and hit go. And then I'm going to align this part here, this new surface that we've created, and you see we've got curvature there and there. So next thing to do is align this, pick nothing, E and F, and then direct model here to get curvature at the ends of your surfaces. This is the shape trimmed out, given to us by the tubular offset control. So I could have actually put in a constraint here and another constraint there with the tool, the manipulator, to get a different shape here, because I know from experience that this kind of bell shape is not going to be conducive to building a good surface. We'll put a surface in there so I can show you what the problem is likely to be. So I'm going to make sure that I haven't got my collinearity on here, and just pick there, pick the square, not the curve, and controls on. So it's built a square, but we've got a gap here, quite a big gap actually, and we've got a small gap there.